The Princess and the Thief, Chapter 3. Back to the palace. The final chapter. The next morning, the sun rose gently over the village as Jack followed Ralph headed to the market to look for work again. The streets were busy, full of voices, carts, and colorful fabrics swaying in the breeze. Jack kept her hood low, staying close to Ralph, but then she froze. A group of palace guards stood just ahead, checking the area, speaking with shopkeepers, holding a familiar golden scroll. One of the guards turned, and his eyes landed on her. He recognized her instantly. Princess Aurelia, he called. Please come with us. The king and queen are terribly worried. Jack panicked. Before she could say a word, Ralph stepped in between them, his fists clenched. Stay away from her, he shouted, thinking the guard was a threat. Before the guard could explain, Ralph grabbed Jack's hand and bolted, pulling her through the crowd. Jack couldn't help but laugh, a full, free laugh that echoed through the marketplace as they ran. Ralph, wait, he's not. But it was too late. The chase had begun. The guards followed, weaving through baskets of fruits and startled shoppers. But Ralph and Jack were too fast, slipping through alleyways, ducking behind stalls, vanishing in the maze of streets. Eventually, the guards lost sight of them. One of the guards returned to the palace, panting, and knelt before the king. Your Majesty, I saw her, the princess, but she ran away with the village boy who protected her. I believe they are hiding somewhere nearby. The king's face was pale with worry. The queen clutched her handkerchief. Send the soldiers, the king said quietly. Find my daughter. Bring her home safely. Later that afternoon, the guards went back into the village and began asking questions. They showed the scroll with the princess's face and asked about a boy named Ralph, and little by little they started piecing it together. Ralph's home, Ralph's sister, the strange new boy named Jack. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and pink, Jack and Ralph sat quietly outside the house, watching the village slowly wind down for the day. A gentle breeze rustled the trees, and the scent of warm bread drifted from nearby homes. Jack turned to Ralph, her expression calm but serious. Ralph, she said softly, do you already know who I really am? Ralph didn't look surprised. He gave a small nod. Yeah, he said simply. Since the morning I saw your hair and your face, you're the princess. Jack, Princess Aurelia paused, her eyes searching his. Then why didn't you report me? You could have gotten a huge reward. Gold, maybe even a job in the palace. Ralph looked at her, a hint of a smile in his eyes. Money is important, he said honestly, but friendship is more important. You helped me, you helped my sister, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I wasn't alone. Aurelia stared at him, heart full. Then she smiled, not her practiced royal smile, the polite one meant for nobles and guests, but a real, genuine smile. Thank you, she whispered. In that quiet moment, under the fading light, a bond stronger than gold was sealed between them. One built not on royalty or riches, but on loyalty, kindness, and the courage to see beyond the crown. As Ralph and Princess Aurelia walked back through the quiet village, laughter and light from the market fading behind them, something felt off. In front of Ralph's small home stood a group of unfamiliar men, strong, serious, and silent. Aurelia's steps slowed. She knew immediately. "They are from the palace," she whispered. Before Ralph could speak, she turned to him and said softly, "Tell them you didn't know. Tell them you thought I was just a boy. Protect your sister." Ralph's face twisted with worry, but he nodded. Together they walked toward the house. Inside, Betty was pacing nervously, her hands shaking. The tall figure of the king stood near the doorway, his royal robe unmistakably even in the humble room. When she turned and saw them, Betty gasped in relief and ran to her brother. Aurelia stepped forward calmly. "Father," she said with quiet strength, "I will return with you, but you must spare them." The king stared at her, stunned. "They took me in," she continued. "They thought I was a poor boy with no home. They showed me kindness, not because of my title, but because of their hearts." There was a long pause. Then the king, his voice low and shaken, said, "Daughter, I'm sorry." His eyes softened. "I locked you away in the palace for your protection, thinking it was best. But today I see clearly you are brave, wise, and capable of managing yourself more than I ever imagined." Ralph stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said respectfully, "she saved me from a bully. She worked hard. She helped cook and clean. She laughed with us. She was our friend." The king smiled for the first time. "Thank you, young man." He turned to the guards. "No harm shall come to this boy or his sister. Instead, they will be rewarded." Aurelia returned to the palace that day, but her heart was changed forever. She no longer saw the world through the eyes of a princess behind walls, but through the hearts of people like Ralph and Betty. Ralph and his sister were given a new home, a better one. Ralph was offered a place in the royal staff, though he only accepted under one condition, that he and the princess could still be friends. And the princess, she never forgot the house with the small kitchen, the warm guilt, and the friendship that changed her forever. From that day on, Princess Aurelia was no longer just the most beautiful princess in the land. She became the most beloved. She walked among her people, visited markets, listened to their stories, and remembered what it felt like to sleep on the floor and walk beside them. She understood their struggles, and they adored her for it. Ralph and Betty both lived in the palace after Aurelia returned, and wherever the princess went, Ralph was always nearby, her protector, her friend, and soon the man who held her hand. Betty, no longer a little girl, grew into a beautiful and talented young woman. Her days of stirring stew and baking bread in their humble kitchen had blossomed into a true passion. With the help of Queen Aurelia, she opened her very own restaurant in the heart of the capital, a cozy place filled with laughter, warmth, and the smell of fresh baked pies. People came from far and wide not just to taste the food, but to feel the love and comfort that came with every dish. Sometimes Aurelia would slip away from her royal duties and visit the restaurant in disguise. She and Betty would cook side by side in the kitchen, just like the old days, laughing, chopping, and trading stories while the smell of spices and joy filled the air. And as the years passed, friendship quietly blossomed into something more. They laughed the same way they used to, chased memories through the gardens, and shared dreams under the stars. And one day, before the whole kingdom, Princess Aurelia chose Ralph as her husband. Many were shocked at first, a princess marrying a commoner. But the people knew Ralph. They had seen his heart, his courage, and his kindness, so they cheered, and the wedding bells rang with joy across the land. Together, Queen Aurelia and King Rolf ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion. They built schools, healed the poor, protected the weak, and created a land where every child could dream freely. Just like the girl who once ran away from her golden cage, they became the greatest rulers the kingdom had ever known, and every night they would sit side by side under the stars, hand in hand, remembering the day a runaway princess and a street smart boy met in a busy market and changed the world together. The end.